Monday Night Football. Let's go. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash Keg, and I'm back with the NFL Prize Picks video here. I'm going to break down both teams. We'll just kind of pull them up on the site and kind of go down through them. Just go pick by pick, kind of talk through them, my analysis on them, and hopefully it helps you out a little bit. If you like these videos, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Lets me know that you want me to keep doing these videos for you. Busy weekend of college football and NFL. I didn't do as many of these videos as I wanted to. It was crazy. Just kickers couldn't hit anything, big upsets in college football. Just amazing weekend of football, man. And we're just going to keep doing this all year. Hopefully we have weekends like this all year. It was awesome. Had a big night over DFSArmy as well. Shout out to Andy in Discord. He won the DraftKings Millie Maker. We'll throw up his screenshot and show that when we go over there. But yeah, awesome, man. And the Patreon streets over here as well. Putting up a bunch of picks for Prize Picks, sports betting as well. The baseball model's still going strong. It's up over 30 units just here in September. So, if you want to join the Patreon, you can put it in the link below. Hit that. Give you everything, all the models, baseball, NFL, college football, all for the price of lunch, man. So let's just dive on over real quick and check Prize Picks out, and we'll jump through these plays. Let's go. All right, I have the Prize Picks desktop up here. As you can tell, if you do not have an account at Prize Picks, make sure you use that promo code DFSArmy and get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Also, again, if you want to check out more picks, not just for NFL, but for MLB, college football, all that, I drop all that stuff in the Patreon. Again, link in the description below. But first and foremost, congratulations to Andy. Rapid Fire XD won the Millie yesterday, man. Absolute fire over DFSArmy for DFS-wise. We had another guy, and the coach in FanDuel took third in the FanDuel Millie, so we must have two of them. A bunch of guys. I saw a $70,000 screenshot of 50, a bunch of 10s. WLN, one of our guys over there that jumps a bunch of Prize Pick stuff as well. He hit 25K. A bunch of winners, man. So if you want access to that, head on over there. Use that promo code CashCake and get 10% off your DFSArmy membership, VIP membership, all that again is the description below. But hey, let's go back. Let's talk about some Prize Picks. Let's go through these. Like I said, I'm going to pull up each team and just kind of talk through them. People kind of like that format that I did for Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to keep this going, kind of go through it. Big narrative here, right? I mean, we got Russell Wilson going back into Seattle here, right? And so Russell Wilson going to play Seattle. Big game here. I love how the NFL did this, gets traded or gets sent over to the Broncos, going back into Seattle. Seattle is going to be so bad this year. When Geno Smith is your quarterback, you're going to have a long year, man. I feel bad for Metcalf and crew and Lockett, with him throwing them the ball. So Russ, I mean, we got 255 and a half pass yards here as the line. Juice is about minus 115 if you're looking at the sports books out there. But we're going more or less on any of these for the projections that Prize Picks has up. But sometimes we use the books out there to compare the plays that Prize Picks does have. Now, just looking at these, it's really hard to compare any other statistics that are out there, right? Because he's in a completely different offense, right? They didn't really let Russ cook. You heard that all the time. Let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. I think he comes out here and makes a statement, honestly, but at the same time, if they get up a bunch of points early, are they really going to throw the ball a ton? So I'm kind of stay away from the pass yards personally, because I just don't know. Again, if we want to look at last year's, he only went over this number in 3 of the 14 games that he did play. But again, different offense and whatnot. This offense, again, has two good running backs in Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. So I don't think that, it has to be all a Russ here. But there is one that I do like. Same thing, fantasy score. I don't mind if you want to take a shot on the over on him. I think he's going to go in there and wants to make a statement. Maybe he can rush one in and throw two, throw 250 or whatever, run for 50 yards or something. I'd rather take a shot on that than the pass yards, just because the pass yards is really more game script dependent when it comes to stuff like that. Russell Wilson's 270.5. Again, these are ones I'm kind of staying away from. Pass completions, looking at that as well. He only went over that mark in 2 out of the 14 games he played last year. Again, I'm not saying if they go pass heavy, we could look at that, but I don't think it's something that I want to look at. Pass attempts, 33.5. Again, nothing that I really want to go after either. He did hit that in 2 of the 14 games he did play last year, but again, something I don't really want to go after either, just because of the game script. If they get up 2 or 3 touchdowns early, they might not throw the ball a ton. They just might pound the rock. Russell Wilson, 13.5 rush yards here. He did go over this in 6 of 14 times last year. I think he does run a little bit more this year, so I don't mind if you want to take a shot at going more than 13.5 rush yards. But the one that I do like, I think the most out of him, we're going to take more than 1.5 touchdowns. I do think he throws more than 1.5 touchdowns here. Show off some of those weapons he does have. Cortland Sutton and Judy. I do think he does get a couple touchdowns through the air. So I do like this one out of all of them. If you're going to choose, if I had to rank these other ones, I probably would look at rush yards and fantasy score. I'd leave these other 4 alone personally, just because if it was going to be a close game, I would love it more. But I do think Denver kind of thumps them. The line's only at 6.5. I think that's almost a gift if you're looking at taking one of the sides. I just even being in Seattle. He played there forever. He knows all about it. So that's the first one we're going to take here. If we look at Javonte Williams, this is what's always, struggle with when it comes to the Denver backfield, because they got 2 backs, right? Melvin Gordon and Williams. Now, line at 58.5, he only went over this 6 out of 17 times. He went over this 58.5 rush yards. I really don't know. I don't know. It's so hard to guess. I don't want to guess how many yards he's going to get, how many touches he's going to get between him and Melvin Gordon. So I'm not going to touch that personally. Same kind of thing, fantasy score. Gordon could sneak 2 touchdowns in and not Williams and he not get there. I don't want to take that, guess here either. Same thing with rush and reception yards. It comes down to the same thing. Rush attempts, 13.5. He only went over that mark in 6 of the 17 games that he played. And 2 of those, he only went over by a half at 14. So the ones he went over, 17, 14, 23, 15, 15, 14. Again, he splits carries. I don't want to do that. I think the one you could take a shot at, though, if I was going to take a shot at one of him, would be Javonte Williams more than a half pass rush and receiving touchdown, just because I think he could have a shot to get in the box. Yes, touchdown plays like this can be volatile, but so are these other ones. But I could see him getting in the box here. So we'll take more than that half a pass, rush, reception, touchdown. Reception-wise, looking at Javonte Williams, again, not something that I want to really touch. He went over this in 8 out of 17 games. I would lean taking more than this than less, but not sure I want to touch it. Receiving yards, he had more of this than 6 of 17 games as well. Same kind of thing. If they do get up, I'm just not sure I really want to take that. If we want to look at some of the receivers here for Denver, looking at Jerry Judy's lines at 55.5. He only went over this mark again he went over this mark at 4 out of 10 games last year that he did play. But a whole different story with the quarterback coming over here, right? So Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy, going to have a way more accurate quarterback throwing him the ball. So I would lean more than this if you're going to take a shot at this. Fantasy score, I think he's got to get in the box there. I don't want to touch this one. I would lean the more than 55.5 receiving yards for this. I do think Sutton's going to be his number 1, but Jared Judy, he could take that to the house with one play. So I would lean the over on this one. This one would put a maybe there. Same kind of thing with Cortland Sutton, 60.5 receiving yards. Again, he only went over this mark in 4 of 17 games last year. But again, we have to kind of take that with a grain of salt, with who was throwing him the ball last year. So I would lean the over on this one. 14 fantasy points. I don't really want to touch this one. I like the more receiving yards as well. Reception wise, 4.5. Last year, again, early in the year, he did go over this in 5 of 17 games. It's something that I would lean lean more than 16.5 reception yards or more than 4.5 receptions. 2 that I would kind of look at. Not sure exactly my favorite, maybe we'll go more here. We might find another one that we want to throw up there, but I do think this is going to be his alpha target through the season. Someone I want to play. Big Alberto, I'm not going to play him at all. I know 8 fantasy score. He had to get in the box to get there. 3 receptions, 28.5 receiving yards. Not somebody that I'm excited to play here. Maybe in a closer game, but I don't love this. I would probably lean the under. For the receptions and yards and fantasy score, but I just don't think we need to take a chance on a tight end like this. Like I said, Melvin Gordon, going back to the rushing with him again, it's one of those that they're split, right? 35.5 rushing yards. He did go over this in 12 of 16 games. So if you're going to take more, I probably would, because they do split the workload a little bit, right? So he went over this in 12 of those 16 games at 75%. He averaged, he went over this, and we talk about rush attempts. The line is at 9.5. I would take the over on that. They don't have it here, but it might be a play I would throw up on a book at 9.5, because he went over that in 11 of 16 games. Again, they just kind of split the carry. So I do like his rush yards here at 35.5. I don't mind taking more than this. I do like this. McManus, 8 fantasy score. Again, he should be kicking some field goals, but they probably are going to put it in the box quite a bit. I don't think I would touch that one. Broncos D, I don't mind taking more than 7.5 fantasy score going up against Geno and Seattle here. He's probably due for a pick 6, couple sacks. There's going to be some mistakes being made in that offense, so I don't mind taking more than 7.5 fantasy score here. Let's go head on over to the Seattle side, kind of see what's on the board here. Yeah, fantasy score. I wouldn't touch this one at all. I don't, anything can happen with defenses, but I wouldn't touch this one with Seahawks. Geno Smith, 189.5. I think if I was going to lean anything, I would lean the over at 189. I'm sorry, more than 189.5 pass yards. Just because should be playing from behind, right? Don't like Geno, don't like what he can do, but he should be chucking the ball a lot. They should be down early. That would be one that I would look at taking. They're going to, that pass rush is going to get to him 9.5 rush yards. He can run a little bit if you want to take more on this one. I don't mind taking a shot. Not touching his fantasy score at all. But yeah, I think the pass yards, if you're going to take more than that, would be the one I would lean. Pass completions, I don't think I would touch this one at all either. It's if we look at pass yards, he went over this in 2 of the 4 games that he did play last year. But that's where I would lean if I was looking at pass yards. I would lean the more here. And we might take this. Again, he's horrible, but he's going to have to throw the ball. They should be down a ton. And Metcalf can go up there and high point some of those balls and help him out. So we'll put this one in here in the 4 that we have. I don't really want to touch pass completions or pass attempts. Maybe you want to look at pass attempts, maybe if they're throwing the ball a ton. But, maybe Pete Carroll just says, hey, we're just going to take this L and we'll just run the clock out. It wouldn't surprise me either, man. So going to his pass catchers here, again, feel bad for DK and Tyler Lockett here, having this guy throwing the ball. Looking at Metcalf, again, this could be just a volume play. It could absolutely be a volume play. If we're looking at Metcalf and the 55.5 reception yards, I would lean more than this, but at the same time, he could put a goose egg up too with just how bad Geno could be. But that's where I'd lean on that. Fantasy score, I would lean less than 13 fantasy score here. You'd have to get in the box to get there, and I just don't see it happening. Tyler Lockett, 46.5. Again, you got to take all. You can't really look at last year's. We saw last year but this is with Russ at the helm, right? And if we had DK Metcalf going off, and Tyler Lockett kind of struggled, it's completely different. We have Geno throwing the ball and not Russ. So, yes, he went over this mark in 9 of the 16 games he played, and massively too. Had reception yards, 178, 142 twice, 115, 198. But with Geno throwing the ball, I'm not too excited about this. Fantasy score, again, I'd go less than this. Lockett, 4 receptions. Maybe you want to look at that. I struggle with it, with just this team in general, looking at plays. Only reason I'm saying more than 189 passing yards with Geno, just because he's going to be playing from behind, and they should be chucking the ball. Rashad Penny, if this was in the right game script, I would love Penny here. I just don't think this is the spot, right? Like, I struggle to want to do this. They did average 122 rush yards last year, ranked 11th in the NFL, and so he should be the lead dog back here, right? So we should see if you want to take the over here. When he had those games where he played a lot of snaps and got the ball last year, he had some big games, 137, 135, 170, 190 towards the end of the year. So if you would do anything, maybe you want to lean the over here, and he breaks a couple big ones. But I don't think the game script is going to really help things out for him. But I would lean with him being the big dog. I would lean more than 67.5 rush yards. But again, the game script, if they get behind, maybe they don't run as much. So I do worry about that. Same thing with fantasy score. I don't really want to touch that with the game script that we kind of feel like it's going to happen. Rush attempts, kind of look at those games that hit those, great, 4 great games. He had 16, 17, 25, and 23. I just don't think they're going to feed him the ball that much, especially if they get behind. So something I don't want to touch. If you think it's a close game, I would smash the more on 67.5 and 16.5 rush attempts, because if it's a brutal close game, Pete Carroll's going to pound the rock, man. He's going to pound it. He does that. So, they're going to want to try to slow the game down. But if they get down 2 touchdowns in a hurry, they're going to have to abandon it completely. So just that's where it worries me a little bit. Reception yards, he only had games 2 out of the 10 games he played where he went over this, 27, 15 yards. Maybe something like this you want to look at a little bit. If with the game script, maybe this is a more play for you. And then Noah Fant, again, with Geno, if that pass rush gets to him, he might have to try to get the ball out a little bit faster. So maybe this is where we look at looking at going at Fant here. I kind of like this play a little bit. 24.5 receiving yards. Again, we kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Everything with Noah Fant. Again, he used to play for Denver. But 24.5 receiving yards. I do like this. I do like more than 24.5. And 7 fantasy score. I'd rather take the reception yards if he's got to get the ball out quick. Sometimes we see these lower end quarterbacks like Geno Smith and these guys find their tight ends a little bit more instead of, Lockett and Metcalf getting down the field. So 24.5 reception yards. I do like that. And then Myers, 6.5 fantasy score. I'm not touching this because it wouldn't surprise me if they scored 0 points, right? So I don't really want to touch this. So that's what we're kind of looking at here. Just kind of going through things. Again, if you want access to the models that we have out there or anything that I do have up, you can check out everything in the Patreon link below. Completely knockout plays there. And then again, before we get out here, one more congratulations to Rapid Fire XD for the Millie Maker, hitting it on DraftKings. Again, we got everything over there at DFSArmy for your DFS needs. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Deuces.